And hello everybody, welcome back. This is the Stady Bassist, and we are going to be continuing the Elden Ring playthrough. Nothing has changed since then. It's literally the next 5 minutes after I recorded the first one. I'm still recording this after the fact. And we're going to immediately go towards a boss. We're going to kill this troll first. And we can't forget the earthly flowers. We are going to be going towards the demi-human chiefs. And this troll is giving me the business only a little bit. Only a little bit. But we just popped a blue rock. And he shouldn't be much of an issue for much longer. And there he is. So now that we've got him dealt with, we're gonna just jump down here, head onto the beach. And while we're headed towards the cave, I do just want to apologize for any sort of audio issues that may have been present in my first video. I didn't realize how quiet I was going to be, so I have turned up the gain, so to speak, on my microphone. Hopefully it's not going to be much of an issue now, but if it is, then we'll fix it in episode 3. We've ran into our monkey friend. Listen, don't worry about it. We'll take care of everything. And I don't know if it was just me, but for whatever reason, when I was recording this, I had a lot of issue with visibility. It was probably just the monitor that I was recording on, because now that I'm seeing it on a better monitor than I was recording it on, it's very easily visible. But for whatever reason, when I was recording, I couldn't see a damn thing. But that's neither here nor there. We're going to quickly dispatch these regular demi-humans. And just for the sake of why not, we're going to summon Old Knight. Old Knight Istvan. And this boss fight is usually not very difficult at all. I just wanted to. If I have the opportunity to summon, I figure why not, just for the sake of having fun. This boss staggers pretty easily. And I wasn't able to get a critical, but I was able to, with the help of this Istvan, put him down pretty quickly. And we're going to take care of number 2 over here. And thanks to Istvan, I was able to get the critical off this one. And that is the end of that story. We got some tailoring tools. I'm very excited to never use those for the rest of the game. And again, like I said, when I was recording, I had a lot of issues with visibility. And for whatever reason, I couldn't see anything. As you can see, I'm running into the wall here. And this goes on for a lot longer than I am proud to admit. You can see I'm trying to find if there's any sort of rocks that I can throw that have some sort of a glow to them, or if I have a torch of some kind. And what I'm doing here is I'm hitting the wall because the spark provides a little bit of a light, and that spirit right there provides a little bit of a guide. And what I'm beginning to do now is when I am hitting the lock on button, it leads me at least in a direction rather than being left hung out to dry. And ironically, I get a glowstone after I kill the last enemy. But after making our way through the cave, we come out, and now we are just a little bit out of Whiterun. Oh, I'm sorry, wrong game. We come up to this church, the Church of the Dragon Communion, I believe it's called. I guess we'll never know. Oh no, there it is. Yeah, Church of Dragon Communion. Again, we're going to put another level into Vigor. That brings us up to 20. And from this point, we are going to head back over to Agil Lake North, and we're going to take care of the cave that is in the lake. If you can see just a little bit below where that grace marker is. And after spawning back in, we are going to head due south. And I'll be completely honest, this cave is very beneficial, but in my opinion also very annoying, especially if you're not doing a strength build. I did consider doing a strength build after watching Jacksepticeye play Elden Ring and seeing him use the bonk build. I considered it, but strength builds, in my opinion, are just a little... It's not the playstyle that I want to portray. I never liked the idea of using blunt weapons to fight demigods. And you'll notice here, I completely forgot about the Wonders Physic, and now we are finally mixing it. Give us a little bit of health and a little bit of a boost to our stamina. And the reason why I went on about this not being great if you're not a strength build is because if you're using any weapon that's not blunt, and you use your light attacks, then the attacks just bounce off and they don't do any sort of actual damage. You're essentially just smacking them until they're gone. You'd do better if you just had a big spoon. And I'm trying to bait this guy up the stairs just so I can attack him a little bit easier. And thankfully I get the critical. And now I'm able to go after his little brother. And earlier I said that this cave was very beneficial, and it is, because you're able to get a lot of free smithing stones pretty early on in the game. As soon as I can, I do plan on getting the Miner's Bell Bearings and the Somber Miner's Bell Bearings, just to ensure that we only have to look for the stones as necessary rather than have to worry about running out of their naturally spawning areas. I wasn't able to backstone this guy because he was taking a nap, and I got jump scared for just a second because of that little spirit, and then I got even more jump scared because I got attacked by Ben. But after taking care of the Ratatouille family, I go into this cave, honestly because I forgot what's in here, with Smithing Stone 1, so it was worth the journey. And now we head deeper into the cave, and I'm going to trail back to the beginning of the series where I said that I'm not very good at this game. I had an idea that I was supposed to jump off of this platform, and I am. I was just looking the wrong way. But in reality, it's a good thing that I came down here because there are some materials. And while there are materials, there are these things. I always hate to put down a dog, but at the point where it's at, with it being covered in whatever that is, I don't know if it's rot or whatever the case may be, I don't know if it's a dog anymore. I tried a stance break, and I'm just a little too far back in order to catch him. It does break my shield there, and don't know how, but I became a citizen of Whiff City there because I completely missed that heavy attack. I do get 2 stance breaks right there, and I'm able to get the critical, put him down. I head over to another one who's in front of another smithing stone, and before he can get up, I get a quick heavy attack and put him down. I always run into that wall in every single playthrough because I can never remember, is this one illusory? But it's never illusory. And the same thing with that wall. And you'll notice that I'm cutting a lot less in this particular cave. Like I said, I plan on leaving the boss fights as uncut as possible, and the same thing with the caves, just so you can see any mistakes that I may make, because like I said, I'm not trying to claim that I'm good at this game. I'm not making this video to show how good I am at this game. I'm just doing this because I want to make YouTube videos about my favorite game. As we get closer to the boss fight here, we're just taking out a couple more of the guards that roam around here. The guys here with the lanterns are incredibly frustrating. Especially that one that's walking away. You see that he's walking away right now. But as soon as he hears us tiptoe through the hall, he starts to use his flamethrower on us, and we almost die here because they're double teaming, and they both have their use of fire in their own way. Actually, the other guy also has a lantern, but he's deciding not to use it at this point. He's just watching me beat an old man to death. And I'm able to take both of them out. Now, we're down to 1 flask, which does not bode well for us for this boss fight. But we are able to get another smithing stone 1 and an explosive stone 1. That's going to be very useful for us later when we try to upgrade the Uchi Katana again. But as we take this elevator down, we are now finally at the boss door. But before we go inside, if we make a quick detour to the right, we're able to get another smithing stone 1. I haven't been keeping count, but it's a lot. And I know what it is that I am getting into, so I see if there's another weapon that would be better, but ultimately I decide, you know what, let's just try it with the katana and see where we can go. So the damage is not terrible. It's actually not bad at all. It's more just the matter of, again, it's not doing, it doesn't give the opportunity for any sort of wombo combo because it's just bouncing off of his ankle. And we are getting decimated by his dogs. And that is going to be our physic. And that gives us 1 more actual flask. And at this point, I'm not feeling very confident. And now, I don't think this guy actually has a phase 2 or any phase for that matter. He just stays where he's at. But it's always when he gets halfway down his health bar that he does this huge attack. And somehow we're able to get bleed on this because it doesn't make a lot of sense because he's made of stone, or at least he's mostly stone. And you can see I am practically dead. I have a beard hair worth of health. And I start to lock in, and unfortunately I don't lock in enough because I get stomped on very quickly. And that's going to bring us to our 4th death of the series. And after we respawn, I cut out the journey, the run back here, because we all know what's there. I got all the materials. We're just going to go back in. But in coming back into this boss fight, we have 6 flasks plus our physic, so I'm feeling a lot more confident. And admittedly, I probably felt a little too confident going into it because I make some very amateur mistakes, such as not rolling when I should have, rolling early like I just did there. Like I said, now that we've made it halfway, he's going to start doing this. I call it the tantrum attack. I don't know if anybody else calls it another name. And once again, we're able to get bleed. You would think with someone who's got grayscale, they wouldn't really be susceptible to bleed, but I guess it's just a regular troll with some sort of disease. I'm not sure, but we are able to get the Roar Medallion. Probably never going to use that, but we have it. After defeating him, we go back to Aguil Lake North, and we're going to pump, again, another level into... Initially, I was going to do Vigor. I think about it for a minute, and then I do decide to put it into Vigor, but from this point, I'm going to be prioritizing trying to go into Strength or Dex. We fast-traveled back to the church, and we were able to upgrade the Uchigatana to +3. That's as much as we can upgrade it to from this point. Once we get the Round Table Hold unlocked, then we'll have a lot more wiggle room. After fast traveling back here, I know where it is that I want to go. I start heading back south. We're going to go back into the lake, but we're going to make a left turn. Our intention with going through this little canyon here is to go fight Patches. But, naturally, if you played this game before, once we get a little bit away from the entrance to the cave, we're going to get kicked off of Torrent because we're about to be invaded. And speaking of invasions, I very rarely play this game online just because I don't like dealing with player invasions. When I do play on the PC version, I do play online, but that's only because I use the seamless co-op mod. In this case, we're playing offline just to make this go as seamless as possible. But we're going to try and get a couple hits in on this Bloody Finger invader, and we're going to get Yura summoned in here. Probably one of my favorite mini side quests, just for the simple sake of the personality of Yura. It's just a very appealing. And I do a quick jump attack, and I almost die very quickly because I get the 1-2 punch. But not before I am able to put down the Finger Invader. Yura didn't get any sort of offense whatsoever, but we did get the Reduvia out of that. And I look at the stats, and I think for a second here, should I try the Reduvia? I'm not really a Reduvia user, but I see a lot of people use it, and some people say that it's a good way to cheese Melania. So I think about it, and I might end up trying it. Obviously, we don't have the stat requirements for it yet, but I might try it later once we get closer to that point. As we go through this cave, again, at this point, you're not seeing this, but it's a lot darker on my end than it may be for you. I'm going to have to mess with my monitor settings to fix that, but as we go through the piss wall, we know what's about to happen here. There's a very appealing, unsuspectful chest here. We're going to pick up the clothes, and now we get to encounter, for whatever reason, the one constant in the universe of Souls games, Bloodborne, whatever the case may be. This guy won't stop. And he does surrender to us pretty quickly. I consider at one point letting him live, but I figure it's just easier to get his bell bearing. And somehow he is able to roll out of all of my attacks. I try to parry him. He stance breaks me and puts a spear through my torso. And then he drinks on me. So that brings us up to 5 deaths. That's the only time in my entire Souls career that I've ever died to patches. And hopefully it'll be the last time. I run towards my 61 souls. Again, I call them souls. If you have a problem with that, go away. He spits his shit breath on us. And again, I don't remember patches being this difficult. Again, maybe I'm just playing a lot worse for whatever reason. Maybe it's because I'm on camera. I'm not sure. But we are able to get a parry. And I do a heavy attack. And we put patches down. And in putting him down, we are able to get a +7 spear, his armor, and a golden rune. 2 of them, actually. And I consider for a second using the spear because I think, oh, that's a +7 weapon, and I don't have to do anything else. And it does do more damage than my Uchigatana. But after trying it out here, I keep it equipped up until we teleport back, and in just a minute you'll see that it has changed back to my Uchigatana. The spear weapons are not my favorite. If they're your favorite, then by all means, that's entirely your opinion. And if you like them, if you do well with them, by all means, go for it. But I just don't care for the spear weapons in any Souls game. And we are going to head mostly east, but a little due southeast, because we are going to go ahead and fight the Great Pumpkin. Or I'm sorry, Pumpkinhead. But not before we get a little bit of revenge on the jockey here. He's not even worth stepping off of our mount. We just put him down pretty easily. And after arriving here, we are going to fight Pumpkinhead. You know, after looking at his design, it's a surprise to me that this is not what the Great Pumpkin looks like in Charlie Brown. I also have a theory that this is what happens to the pumpkin in Cinderella after it no longer is a carriage. I believe it's sentient and it goes mad and it turns into this. Pumpkinhead almost puts me down twice. His weapon is incredibly powerful at this point. I need to get better armor is what I am realizing, because the samurai armor is just not cutting it. Selin, it is nice to meet you. Probably will never interact with you again. I know what your quest line is. It's very sad, but I don't have any desire to complete it. And after resting here, we've made it to a point where a simple boss like that is not going to be enough for us to level up. We're going to use both of these golden runes that we were able to get from patches. And that's going to put us a little bit over the threshold that we need in order to get another level. And this one we're going to put into Arcane. And after I started leveling up Arcane, we've made our way to the Forlorn Hound Everjail. And if you are a Elden Ring player, you know exactly why we're here. We're about to fight Darwin, and we're going to get the Bloodhound Fang. I'm sorry, Darwill. Not gonna lie, this entire time I thought his name was Darwin, and I just never took the time to read. In my opinion, the Bloodhound Knight boss and any field variant of it is one of the bosses that the moves are very easy to get used to and telegraph. Once you fight it a couple times, you are able to see pretty much everything that's in their repertoire, and you're able to get used to the rolling pretty quickly. Now we have the Bloodhound's Fang. We're going to need a little bit more strength and a little bit more dex in order to be able to wield it. So we're going to fast travel back to Murkwater, and after leaving, we are going to head due north. We found a golden rune. We're going to run into Yura once again, and we're just going to continue this quest line. And the only reason why we're doing this quest line is so we can get the tier to put in our Physicator that'll help us fight Moog. After speaking to him, exhausting his dialogue tree, we make our way to the Murkwater Catacombs. And I'm going to stress again, the catacombs, in my opinion, are the weakest part of the entire game. For as much as I appreciate and adore this game, this is the least exciting part. This part sucks. And if you're getting upset that I'm not getting all of the materials in here, then you should understand at this point that is not what we're here to do. Off camera, if I need to find the materials in here, then I will do everyone a favor and do that on my own time, because there's no point in getting it right now, in my opinion, because we don't have any spirits that we need to tune. We barely have really any sort of offense. I try really hard to get the imp with the trap that is in this catacombs, and I end up blocking one of them. And again, at this point, I'm not remembering immediately what's on the other side of the wall, and we ran into the Grave Warden Duelist. A lot of these catacombs and caves, the boss fights, the optional ones at least, I'm remembering where to go to just based off of memory, but it will get to a certain point where I don't immediately know where to go. I have a spreadsheet that I was able to find from Reddit that has every single boss in the game, the DLC as well. Don't feel like I should have gotten that backstab. He was about to jump, but, you know, we take wins when we can. We get a quick bleed proc here. The Grave Warden Duelist is, again, another enemy that I think you can very easily telegraph once you have went through it a couple times. This not being my first time playing the game, I knew pretty much what to expect, and thankfully I was able to get past him pretty easily. Now that we have made our way through this catacombs, we're going to return to entrance, and we're going to hop on Torrent, quickly hit this little spirit spring, and we're going to do basically a 180. We start heading due north past the big squid monster ball thing, and we're going to hit this other spirit spring for the simple fact of getting the grace that is at the top, not before we grab a quick little Earthleaf flower though. And we can see Pumpkinhead on the bridge. We'll come back for him later. And after getting this grace, I take a quick look at the stats for the Bloodhound's Fang. We need a little bit more dex, and we're going to need to pump a few levels into strength. So now that brings our dexterity up to 16. We're going to need one more in dex for that. We jump down, and we make our way into the next cave, High Road Cave. And I don't immediately remember every cave that I go into when I go into it, but you'll see after I leave the grace here that, again, it was very dark when I recorded this, so I end up taking a little bit of fall damage here, but nothing too crazy. And once I see this little blue tinge here, I realize what cave we're in, and I'm not going to lie, this is probably my least favorite cave in the entire game. There's just something about the layout of it and everything that you have to deal with from the beginning of the cave all the way up to the boss fight that just makes this cave a slog and a chore to get through. And you can see that I realized what cave we're in because I'm not even trying to fight most of the enemies here. I don't care about the wolves. I know that there's bats in here. I jump down onto this waterfall and I do a little hop and a skip onto this little rock here. And the bats are following me. I'm trying to avoid them as much as I can, but if they get right up on me, then I'm going to get rid of them as quickly as I can. And I step on the forehead of this bat, take out his best friend. And one of the other reasons as to why I don't care for this cave, I don't know how the wolf got here, is just because it's very easy to fall, and when you fall you have to go through it again, and then it's just even more annoying. Thankfully that didn't happen, and we go into this room. We get jump scared, quote unquote, by the big squid ball. I'm not sure if this is supposed to be a squid or like a parrot or a pelican. I'm not sure. We don't get the critical on this one, but we do get a second bleed prod. monstrosity pretty easily. And we're going to head through the side here. We come back out on the other side of this little area. The finger remedy, we now learn exactly how it works as if we didn't know. And we make our way through this little cave, and we make our way up to the boss door. And this is one of the few instances where I knew exactly what was on the other side. It's a boss. Specifically the Guardian Golem. I am going to assume that I'm not the only one who had this instance where I saw this enemy as a regular enemy on the bridge after you fight Godric before I saw it as a boss. And with one critical, we are able to get rid of the Golem pretty easily. We get the blue Dancer Charm as a reward. And after getting rid of the Guardian Golem, I decided to go back over to the Spirit Spring over here. And we're just going to take a little trip up onto the bridge. And I initially start heading towards the cave that's on the right side, but then I get interrupted, thankfully, by the best character in the game.
Hello? Anyone? Oh, I am peace. My thanks. Just give and I'll don't dally. Give it your all.
So we smack him a couple times in the ass, and I know that I probably could have just done one extra heavy attack and he would have been fine, but I decided to do the unsheath attack, mostly for the fact of cinema. And as a way to say thank you, Alexander gives us his meat. And one of the last things that we'll do for this video, we're going to go through one more catacombs. This time it's the death-touched catacombs. And we're going to rest at the Grace one more time. We put one more level into Dexterity. That brings us up to 17. We're now able to wield the Bloodhound's Fang if we use both hands. But I like to use my shield. And I am going to very quickly, you'll see here, I'm going to fight one skeleton with this Bloodhound Fang. And before I even finish the animation, I'm trying to change it back. We will probably end up using the Bloodhound Fang once we get our strength up. But now is not that time. We just run through here again. The catacombs not being my favorite part of the game, I am just going to run through as much of them as I can and deal with the repercussions at a later time. And speaking of repercussions, we have that right now. I take care of one skeleton, and it's in this moment that I have a lapse in memory because I forget that the skeletons are able to resurrect themselves. Which is why the one in the back just a bit ago was able to resurrect itself. The others start resurrecting themselves, and I start prioritizing hitting the ones resurrecting before I focus on the ones that are actively attacking me, which probably isn't the smartest decision, but, you know, we handle things as they come. Thankfully, we were able to make it out of that alive. I decided to go ahead and use my Wondrous Physic just to replenish the half bar of health that I was missing. And I run past the rest of these skeletons ever so elegantly. And I make it up to the boss door, and down the stairs is the boss arena. And I'm not sure of the lore of this fight. I assume it's supposed to be kind of sad just because he is already halfway dead. But regardless, we put him in a corner and we essentially bully him into submission. We get the Assassin's Crimson Dagger as a reward, and we get a thing of Death Root. That's a surprise tool that can help us later. After leaving the catacombs, I know that on the other end of this bridge, if we go further, will be the Tibia Mariner, and that is a boss that we will deal with in the next video. But the last thing that we're going to do is we're going to go across this bridge, and we're going to get rid of the pumpkin head here, just to say that we did. That one was significantly weaker than its boss variant. And we are going to just very quickly make our way to the Grace down here at the bottom of the hill, and let's see what we need to level up. You have got to be kidding me. You have got to be absolutely